Welcome to my daily practice at Wendy Coad Art. If you find this video interesting or helpful, please consider subscribing to my channel and liking the video.
Hi, my name is Wendy and I'm an artist. I've been an artist my whole life and I am excited to invite you into my studio and show you my art practice.
Hi, it's Wendy and welcome to my studio. I am about to start painting again today. Ooh, these are so rich and wonderful days of painting. If you've been following my channel, I alternate between painting and doing other things, but also there's a certain amount of maintenance in the studio, and I like to show all aspects of the studio practice, the in-studio practice. And so I have put new paper on the boards, and I just got started, so it's all fresh and looking bright. And I realized that my paint is getting kind of mixed up. So I have some paint that I put a certain amount of water in so that it would flow a little bit easier. I don't just use water all the time. And when I do use water, I use distilled water because I don't want kind of mold to grow on. It's acrylic paint that I work with, and it's pretty good, but I do have paint that's quite old, and eventually if you have water that's not distilled, it'll kind of get a little funky. And I also put a drop of ammonia in as well, just as a preservative. So, but I haven't done that for this, it's just been water. And I am transferring, the leftover from one tube into the new tube because I can't get it all out of the bottom of the tube when I need to have a nice flow, when I'm working on the squeegees, and or a brush, because I tend to really put my paint right onto the tool that I'm using to paint with. So so I started doing that, and it actually became quite a bit of fun. And I thought, I'm going to just talk about it for a minute, but not do it because I've explained it and I think you get it. However, there's still a little drop in the bottom, and I just hate to waste it. So what I will also do is use those last little drops, not because I don't do this with full bottles, but it's just paint that's gonna go to waste. So I will create this kind of star pattern over top of what I've already painted. It's early enough, and now this is an empty bottle. There's nothing left in there. And here's another one that I did. Sometimes I just lose track. I have a bottle tube somewhere, and I can't find it, so I grab the new one and I get started with that, and then I have two of them on the go, and so now I can hear the paint. Can you hear it? I can hear the paint, and the viscosity will have a certain sound, certain timbre, as it were. But I'm not making a science out of this because it depends on how full the tube is as to what the sound is. But I have another opportunity to splash some paint around, and I'm going to do that later because I don't want to turn these boards around. Oh yes, I do want to turn these boards around because I've already painted. I've already splashed on this side. So I tend to not work over wet paint. I've never had success with that, or it's been minimal enough that I really want to bother. And yes, I will turn these boards around and around and around. I should have a system. I remember seeing the apparatus that the artist Chuck Close had built, so that he had a disability that kept him in a wheelchair, but he, if you're familiar with his work, he did these dots. He would create whole huge portraits and images using the dots, but he had a platform where the canvas, once attached, he could rotate it so that wherever he was sitting, you know, he could access that area of the huge canvas, 6 feet by 6 feet, or larger or smaller. So I don't have that facility, but I do have the boards, and I do have the ability to turn them. So that's how I get my exercise. And this is how I get to see my paintings. Things in the way there. I'll move this around. I find with the splashes, you know, it's like, what's she doing? I would talk to myself and ask, what's she doing? But you can create shapes and lines with these as well, just kind of depending on your angle. As you can see, this is why I have plastic on the walls and going up a little bit into the ceiling. I don't know how many ceilings I've covered with splashes of paint. And these just get integrated right into the painting. You know, they're not very obtrusive. I suppose they can be overdone, but I'm just having such a good time. Okay, well, now I'm done. Oh no, I'm not. I'm actually going to do that on the flat works. You know, it's a little bit of the Milky Way, I always think, in my mind's eye. These particular splashes. And it really does brighten things up. It really kind of opens up some space. Now, it can totally be overdone, but I'm not at that point of caring on these because they're not even close to being finished. Although I say that and then I do one thing and it's like, ooh, that's it, I'm done. But I just added the Milky Way to the Venus de Milo. Let me get one of my cameras so I can show you. This is always tricky because once I move one of these, there's all the buttons on the side. You know, I tend to take pictures and then go into these strange processes that I'm not familiar with. I'm glad that I'm doing this. So I also use the camera like this, just what I'm doing now, to get an idea of how complete. So by the Milky Way, do you see how the little splotches of paint have just created a little bit of a relief to the solidity of the images. It might be closer to being done than I thought. These areas are in need of some work. Yeah, so bringing the Milky Way to these images. And just to give you some close-up of some of the patterns that are made with the splashes. I didn't do as much on this side. I didn't work with the green. I wonder if I can do two things at once. Oh, there. I aimed higher, but oh, that's okay. Well, now I'm going to put this camera down and I'm going to splash a little of that green on there now that I see how yummy that looks. All right, camera in place. And that was a lot of fun. Again, now that I have these spots all over, I don't want to take the brush or the squeegee. I'm going to let them dry, but I'm going to just give you a brief explanation of how I make my videos. You might be interested in doing something like that yourself at some point. I have 3 old iPhones, and one would do. So I started with one, and that's this long shot. And so, but the first couple of videos, I had this long shot, and I was just sitting here at the table, talking about what I was doing. And the feedback I got was, it's too hard to see. You're too far away. Get up and walk towards the camera, which I now do. And so then I added a second camera, and I put the camera on a tripod here, either facing this wall or over here facing the other wall. But when I had 2, I could only do one or the other. And then I thought, I should have 3 cameras. And I have, again, had iPhones for a while, and I have a few old ones. And yes, they're 16 gigabytes, and they only hold a very short amount of video. So I have to be really diligent in my uploading them to an external hard drive, and then making sure that I erase, because there's nothing, and it's happened more than a handful of times, where I've set everything up, and one of the cameras with the small memory capacity has just shut off because I didn't erase the filming from the day before. So I get all of that in pretty much in a system now. And then, of course, the tripods, Amazon, you can get tripods for $20. They're pretty good. And I have a little desk standing tripod. I think I got that at IKEA or something, with a light. And that's it. And then hardware store, these are the LED fluorescents, and they are daylight, which is not daylight. I mean, nothing's daylight, but it's the best you can get if it's too warm or too cool. So these are 5,000 Kelvin, 5,000 K. And if it's 2,500, which is standard Kelvin K, it's quite a yellow light. And if it's 6,000, it's quite a blue light. So you really want the daylight, or you're gonna have, either yellow or blue. And nothing is perfect, trust me. You have to do sometimes a little adjustment in the camera itself, to warm it up or cool it down or keep it neutral. So that's it. And like I said, because I have to wait for the paint to dry, I thought I would just share those little pointers with you. And and that's what's allowed me to invite you into my studio, which I love. And I will continue to do that. So I hope you continue to watch these videos, and I will look forward to seeing you on the next tape.
Oh, I'm so happy that you are joining me today and maybe other days too. I'll take you through my day-to-day as an artist, and I look forward to seeing you on the next tape. Thanks for being here.